Hello, guys. We'll be talking about Eskimos today and their culture related issue or health related issue to or towards pain, including also a little bit of others. My name is Nicole, and my teammates are Damaya, Tasia, and as you can see here, I have a picture of the world map, and this is Alaska right here, this little piece of land. And these arrows indicate the places where Eskimo or the Inuit have migrated to. The Inuit migrated from Alaska to Greenland and the Canadian Arctic. 25,000 to 35,000 still live in Alaska, and smaller groups live in Canada, Greenland, and Siberia. Population number is 90,000. The origin of the word Eskimo came from the Abenaki Indians, and it means eaters of raw meat. For those of you who didn't know, Eskimos tend to eat raw meat, basically like sushi. So they first hunt the animal, they skin it, and right there and then they open it up and start eating. And it's basically seen a way of sharing. It's something you hunt it and then you just open it up and share with whoever is there. Eskimo people then changed their name from Eskimo to Inuit, and it means real people. They spoke two languages, Inupiaq and Yupik. The Yupik dialect came from southwestern Alaska and Siberia, and the Inupiaq dialect came from Greenland all the way through political system. Traditional Inuit culture has a large degree of individual freedom in their society. In mid 20th century, there was a lot of competition for land that was once native lands. In 1932, a petroleum reserve in the north was developed by the Navy and the private companies. Another company that wanted Inuit land was the Atomic Energy Commission. One of the first political actions taken by the Inuit people was fighting the Project Chariot, in which the AEC tried to take 600 miles of Inuit land, and eventually that was called off. Like other Native Americans in the US, the Eskimos faced the problem of their lands being taken away, and this had a big impact in their culture, not only the Eskimos, but also the Native American culture. Time. These people are very present time oriented, and this has partially is partially because of the maybe not time but climate difference, I guess it can be called that. Um, Sun is out some days and sun is out other days. So because of this geographical region Alaska is located in, there are time periods when the sun is out longer than usual, and this is called the summer solstice. And sometimes where there is no sun for a couple of days as well, and this is called the winter solstice. So keeping this in mind, it isn't uncommon to see children playing outside at 2 in the morning because they don't tend to have the sense of time when the sun is out all the time or when the sun is not out. Um, they tend to be up into really late, or you can say morning. Um, and this is viewed very, very common. In these summer solstices, the sun is out for a really long time. We can say, like, give or take 3 months straight. And in these winter solstices, as you can see, I have a picture here below. Um, the sun is not out, but there is some light. As you can see in the picture, there is no sun, but there's this um, light um, making it somewhat clear um, throughout the day. And if the sun comes out, it would only come out for a couple hours. During the 67 days of darkness, sun is out about 2 to 3 hours. Eskimos tend to sleep in, while on the 84 days of continuous sunlight, they tend to stay out fishing longer. And this is like any other culture. When it's raining outside, for example, we tend to want to stay in longer and sleep longer. And this is very common. On the other hand, as well, when the sun is out and when it's very bright outside, we tend to want to go outside, enjoy in the park or running or walking or dog or something like that. Space. Individual space is usually shared with family members. They are very close, family oriented. They just love being together, and it's not uncommon to see a very big number of family and maybe not even family in one household. For example, mother, father, sister, uncle, aunt, cousins, grandparents, all in one house. What is viewed as crowded by Western society may be viewed by the Eskimos as warmth and security of the family. Eskimo like sharing and perceive it as a preferable norm. They love spending time with each other. They love sharing, and this is very common, and this is seen like an everyday thing. But even though they do love being together, there's also this time for individual space. For example, if you were an Eskimo and you wanted to have your own individual space and you shared your room with your siblings and cousins, if you asked for a little private time, it would be given to you. But now, if you ask this time too often, it would be seen as a selfish act. And that is why when you want individual time, usually men, women go out fishing or hunting or go out to make clothes or go out exploring. That's what's usually done because these houses tend to be kind of small, even though they're very crowded. A handshake distance between two people is considered the acceptable space for socialization on daily basis. Too close is considered threatening, while too far is considered social organizations. Family survival is above an individual's survivals. Families get together into social groups that change over time. This makes it seem like they don't get close. But what this means is two different families come together and they help each other survive. And they might be together for like a month or 2 or 3 months or maybe a year. But eventually, it's very common that these social organizations change, and in a way, it makes them stronger because they have dealt with different people, and this makes them understand each other better. This kinship is as strong as blood ties. Adoption between families is common. If one can't take care of baby, another family may adopt him or her. There was no litigation taken, but now the informal process has been replaced by more formal processes. So the adoption of children between this social group, but between these two families was common, and it wasn't any steps toward legal action. It was just you can't take a baby here, I'll take it in kind of thing. Each family member has its own job, right? The child's job is to learn, while the father's job is to gather food. And sometimes women help in these tasks, especially the easier tasks like fishing. Men tend to do the more hard labor work like hunting whales or horses or seals. Those are more physically physically difficult hunting challenges. And high status is given to men who can provide for their family, not only their family, but someone else who needs help. And this is seen as a person who is worthy of respect and a high status. So, a man who can provide for their family and help others who can't provide for their own family is seen with a high status. Women are in charge of keeping the family well fed, clothed, and united. This goes as well for a woman. A woman has a high status when they always have their family well fed, always have their family clothed properly, and always have their family united. If their family is not united and they're always fighting, this is seen that the woman is not doing her proper job. Grandparents were the primary educator of children and imparted knowledge and skills required to survival. Nowadays, there are schools in Alaska, but it's still seen common that grandparents teach their grandchildren the skills needed to survive. Fishing, cloth making, all of these things. Children are considered individuals as soon as they can express themselves. So, as soon as they can say, yes, I want to do this, no, I don't want to do that, yes, I like that, no, I don't like that, this is when they are viewed as an individual. The children or the child is allowed to refuse or accept health care from a healthcare provider. For example, if you took your child to the hospital to get a vaccine, if the child says, no, I don't want a vaccine because it hurt, some parents won't force their child to do something that they don't want to do. And we should keep that in mind when dealing with Eskimo children. They don't have formal recognition of puberty, so they don't have this rite of passage we have to go through to become a woman or become a man. But there is a subtle distinction between when a man or a boy is a man or a girl is a woman. For a man is when they first make their first hunt. So when they kill the first animal, this is when they're seen as a man. And again, this is not official. And for women is when they dance with their elders for the first time. This could be in a ritual or any other. And again, this is also not like is not a concrete thing. It's just as soon as you do this, you're viewed more mature. I guess we can say more mature. Gender roles. Like I've stated above, women make the clothing, take care of domestic activities, and do things that need to be done at the home, and men hunt, gather food, and protect the family, basically. In Eskimo culture, men and women are share a perfect equality both in family and in the community. They value and seek each other's opinion in child rearing. Both parents are openly affectionate of their children. Eskimo families or Eskimo parents tend to reinforce good behavior. They don't punish as other cultures. They tend to encourage good behavior, and bad behavior is not really punished. It's more like the family makes fun of the child in a way of doing something wrong or doing a bad behavior. Biological variations. Ancestors of the Indians and Eskimos originated from the Asian race. Eskimos tend to be short and muscular. Babies tend to be heavier than the average Western baby until they hit the age of 6, where they weigh less than a Western child. This is because of these climate differences. So when a baby is smaller, is easily for it to get sick, to get malnourished, and this is why the babies are kept fatter and more heavy. Now, when they reach the age of 6, they are basically an individual, like I said above, and they still gain or still gain a lot of muscle and still uh, a little bit more on the heavy side, even though they're lighter than the Western child. But since they can explore and do other things than just laying down, they do lose a lot of weight. Eskimos have a tan complexion that becomes the brown to black with continuous sunlight. So, like other Native American tribes, this culture or these people have a tan or yellowish color to them. Eskimos tend to be susceptible to tuberculosis, ATDs, glaucoma, diabetes, mellitus, cardiovascular disease, anemia, cancer, arthritis, and asthma. These are all things that are common in the Eskimo or Inuit. And because of their low population, a lot of this was affected by the contact with Western culture because they were so separated from Western contact because they're so far up and it's so cold. Um, when they first came into that contact, they did receive a lot of diseases that they were not common in their culture, and a lot of them did die because of this. Culture and pain. The children in the Inuit community played games to prepare them for hunting. Most of them were very painful. When it comes to the Eskimo and the Inuit, they the whole life is related to survival. And most of these games are a way to train for you to be stronger and have less pain because you're supposed to provide for your family. You're supposed to take care of your family. And that's why these games are common. Now these games are played in the World Olympics of the Eskimos, but they were common games played long before. The back pushes. Two players sit with their backs to each other on the floor with their knees bent and interlocked arms from behind each other. Then they push their opponent as far as they can go to push the other opponent out of the designated area. This is basically like wrestling. I don't know if you guys watched a wrestling match or a taekwondo fight or whatever you want to call it. They have this designated area, and you're supposed to fight your opponent until you either knock him out, if it's um, that type of match, or knock them outside of the ring. Now, the next one is this Alaskan high kick, which is this picture above right here. You put one hand on the ground and you try to kick a target hanging above you with one foot on or someone holding your other foot down. There's multiple ways of doing this game. Some people do it with one foot down or both foot up, but basically, as you can see in this picture, this is how it looks. The next thing is knuckle hops. These test endurance and pain. They start up in a push-up position and then jump off your knuckles instead of pushing up off your hands. This game is very painful because you're putting all your body weight on your knuckles. and should be careful if you try this at home. I wouldn't recommend it, but this is what we're talking about here. And now the last one, but there's many more, but these are the four we chose. The last one is called the ear pull. Two players sit on the floor and face each other. A leather cord is strung between two of the players' ears. Then they use their ears to pull the cord free, or the other player quits from the pain. This particular game is to test pain and may cause the ear to bleed. Some players end up needing stitches. This game looks very painful, but this is what it looks like. As you can see, this man's ear looks like it's about to fall off. And but these are the games that they play in this culture. These are seen as ways to train you to become, as you can say, a better Eskimo, a better father, a better mother, a better child, a better grandparent. Health views. In America, or in American Indians and Alaska Native culture, health reflects a person's relationship to nature, broadly defined as the family, the community, and the environment. Every illness is due to an imbalance with supernatural, spiritual, or social implications. Treatment focuses on the cause of the imbalance, not just the symptoms, and is holistic in approach. Traditional American Indian medicine is concerned with physical, mental, and spiritual renewal through health maintenance, prevention of illness, and restoration of health. Alaska Natives include a holistic approach to life, a desire to promote the well-being of the group, and enduring spirit, and a respect for all ways of healing. All healing begins with a great spirit or supreme creator. Illness is an opportunity to purify own soul or one's soul. Humanity is made up of body, mind, and spirit, and health is maintained by preserving harmony among the body, heart, mind, and soul. Illness affects the mind and spirit as well as the body. Spirituality and emotions are just as important as the body and the mind are. Plants and animals, as well as humans, are part of spiritual world that exists alongside and is intermingled with the physical world. That is not an enemy, but a natural phenomenon of life. The spirit existed before it came into a physical body and it will exist after the body dies. One's relationships with others and with the earth are essential components of health. Disease is felt not only by the individual but also by the family. Health versus culture. Like we have stated previously on the last slide, Eskimo religion influenced healthcare. They are more focused on this imbalance. Traditional healers are seen or have more respect and are relied on more than Western medicine providers. The use of traditional medicines involve herbs, rituals, medicine men, and midwives are also seen in this culture. Factors that affect healthcare. Eskimo people are for the most part a peaceful culture. They have kept to themselves over the centuries and not been involved in wars. Over centuries, the Eskimos have employed a traditional education process and provided all that was necessary for Eskimo children to survive the perpetuate culture. Education was carried out informally by parents, relatives, and peers. They used imitations and had no specific time frame for mastery. The child would move to the next level when he or she was ready. This is still kind of used today, other than education has improved in these areas, but they still use this type of methods to teaching the skills for survival in these areas. The traditional Eskimo way of life have been influenced by the stark landscape of the Arctic tundra and the cold climate. Because Inuit live in places where most plants cannot grow, the traditional diet consisted of almost entirely meat. Inuit fished and hunted to get their food. Whales, walruses, seals, fish were staples of their diet. The intake of vitamin C is often low, but scurvy is not seen. This may be accounted for by a sporadic intake of a few exceptionally rich sources of vitamin C in the diet. For example, willow leaves and cloudberries, aided by effective methods of preserving their sources during the winter. So they get berries during the summer solstice and they freeze them until they need them in the winter. The other deficiency that we see is vitamin A. The food sources of vitamin A are rich and plentiful, and yet the plasma levels are often low, and clinical signs suggesting past or present deficiencies are seen. It is possible that the deficiency may be the cause of follicular keratoconjunctivitis, a common health problem among Eskimos. Dental disease is a widespread and increasing problem among the population. This problem is related to the dietary. Within the Eskimo culture, U.S. healthcare providers have the will have to follow certain traditional practices when taking care of people within this group. U.S. providers might forget to interpret the Eskimos' traditional practices or approaches to healthcare. Healthcare providers also need to remember to show respect to the elderly and involve the extended family because they play an important role in healthcare decisions. This also follows with the assuming that a male is the decision maker of the family. Assuming this is one of assuming that one or the other is the decision maker in the family would be disrespectful. Trying to change their diet is also a misstep in the US healthcare providers. Eskimos are accustomed to a diet high in meat, fat, and protein. This diet has helped their culture to survive in centuries of frigid temperatures. Not considering the use of traditional medicine in their care, Eskimos often use healers, herbal remedies, medicine men, rituals, and midwives. So when taking care of them, we should make sure to ask which type of herbs or remedies they have used to treat their illness. Not consider the use of silence in communication. Silence and quiet is an important part of this communication in the Eskimos versus Western culture. To help improve the conditions of the unit education system, the U.S. government intervened. The U.S. government gave more money to the area. They did things like set up post offices and aid relief agencies. The Inuits now uses snowmobiles and the internet instead of umiaks and sleds. You can also see families, Western families in these areas who have adopted the Eskimo way of living. 1867, the United States purchased Alaska and whaling operations increased. The advancement of steam powered vessels further increased the number of ships in the region. Food whaling ships from the south were a regular feature in the Arctic waters. The immediate effect was the destruction of the intricate trading network built up over centuries. So because of this Western meeting, their culture changed a lot. And as you can see, these are our citations. These are just for the images and are for the the information we provided. We chose these because we thought they were related to our topic and were reliable as well. I hope you guys enjoyed our presentation.